All right, hi everyone. Thank you guys for coming out to this event. I'm going to say a few words to get us started before we head out on our march, get us a little pumped up. So as I said a little bit earlier, 4 years ago we hosted another Westside Chicano Moratorium, that time in Santa Monica, during the pandemic, so it was a struggle to get that going. But it was a nice turnout. We were there protesting the police's, Santa Monica PD's youth police league, and they were facing lawsuits at the time because they were being charged with, molestation of the kids at that police league, and we were trying to shut them down. And we're here again 4 years later, and like I said earlier as well, hopefully this is an annual theme moving forward. So a little bit of background on why we are hosting these on the west side. Historically, these moratoriums are on the east side. But the west side of LA has a strong history of black and brown and working class neighborhoods. For those of us who don't know, these areas have a name in our black and brown communities. They're called the Four Corners, and that's Culver City, Venice, Santa Monica, and the Sawtell area. Those of us who have grown up here, we know them as the Four Corners. And there are lots of black and brown families who have generational roots here. They go back generations. For example, myself, I've lived here my entire life, which is now coming about 30 years. My dad was raised here for all 48 years of his life, and my grandma moved here from Mexico in the late 60s. And all that time, we lived in Mar Vista Gardens housing projects. I'm only one of many families on the west side who predate all the Erewhons and the Sony studios and all that. We were here way before that. So it's nice to bring an event like this back to the west side, especially because that history and those communities are constantly being under attack by outsiders and outside forces. So an event like this is needed to make noise and let them know that these structures and these forces that are trying to silence us will not succeed in silencing us. For example, gentrification is an attempt to silence us. Police violence is an attempt to silence us. Class oppression, war and genocide, these are all attempts to try and silence us. In a couple weeks, actually, Culver City is joining the city of LA in something called LA Against Hate Week. An event they're sponsoring in a couple weeks. And Culver City and the surrounding neighborhoods like to promote and advertise themselves as inclusive cities and fairly progressive cities. But there can be no progress without the voice of our Palestinian community. There can be no inclusivity without the end of police aggression against our black and brown working class communities. Being raised here my entire life, I've had countless brush-ins with Culver City PD. Just a couple of feet from here, I was actually held at gunpoint at 13 years old by the Culver City Police Department. I've had Culver City police officers pull us over and tell us, do not drive through this city, even though I live in this city. I've had to see Culver City police officers remove my mother from our car and pat her down like she was some kind of criminal. So we're here to say that we need an end to the physical and verbal violence at the hands of this notorious and fascist police department. There can be no progress while we continue to treat our unhoused neighbors with inhumanity as these people prioritize profits over people. There can be no progress without recognizing that our queer, our trans, our non-binary communities are some of the most affected by police violence, by incarceration, and by hate-fueled violence. How can we advertise a bright future when they constantly underpay our teachers and ignore our students' basic needs but keep funneling money into things like school police? So now we're here to show Los Angeles that the West Side is more than just sunshine and beaches and million-dollar homes. Somos una comunidad unida y no nos pueden silenciar. We are a united community and they can no longer silence us. So before we head out on our march, I want to lead us in two chants to get us going, to get us pumped up. So if you guys can repeat after me. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Palestine will never die.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Palestine will never die.
Palestine will never die.
So the next one's in Spanish, if you guys can follow along. It was a popular one at the original 1970 Chicano Moratorium. Raza sí.
Raza sí.
Guerra no.
Guerra no.
Raza sí.
Raza sí.
Guerra no.
Guerra no.
Raza sí.
Raza sí.
Guerra no.
Guerra no.
What that basically translates to is that we're here for the people and against any kind of war. Alright? So now we're going to take this show on the road. We're going to head down to City Hall, also next to the police department, and we're going to make some noise and let them know that we are here. Alright?